1400-ish. It's the 100 Years' War. France and England are going at it like cats and dogs, or vampires and werewolves, or pirates and ninjas, or France and England. And France is losing. But prophecy held that the kingdom would be saved by a virgin. This was back in the days before Nostradamus, so the story goes that the prophecy was passed down all the way from Merlin. Like, that Merlin. And as you probably know, France found their knight in shining armor in the form of Joan of Arc. But despite being a literal saint, Joan of Arc was not a picture of wisdom and serenity. This kid was like a puppy on a double shot of espresso with a taste for English blood. So France was at war with England and performing worse than a mime in the opera. Why? Well, first of all, Mad King Charles the Mad has gone mad. So France is ruled by a regency council who cannot get their ship together. On one side, you've got the Armagnacs, led by Mad King Charles's brother Louis. They want France to be conservative and agricultural. And then you've got the Burgundians, led by King Charles's cousin, John of Burgundy. John of Burgundy kills the Armagnac Louis because John wants bigger cities. Get rid of all that farmland and start raising sheep, baby. We're gonna get rich selling wool to our best buddies, the English. Oh yeah, and John of Burgundy is also allied with the English. So now on top of fighting the English, France is in the middle of a civil war. Word of this gets back to England. English King Henry V is like, don't mind if I do. And he invades France because he only has to fight half of France. And since he only has to fight half of France, he beats them and he says, Mr. King, your son probably isn't even yours, so when you die, what do you say he gets nothing and I get everything? Okimadoki. Charles's maybe son, also named Charles, but we'll call him the Dauphin for now. It means crown prince. The Dauphin isn't very happy about losing all of his inheritance, but the English army is occupying all of northern France. So the Dauphin runs away to the parts of France that still belong to France. He's in this middle bit called Bourges, where he raises an army and names himself the rightful ruler of France. And he is not having a good time. The English are kicking his butt. And on top of that, everyone is being really mean to him. They're calling him the King of Bourges instead of the King of France, or sometimes they're not even calling him king at all, you know? People are still calling him the Dauphin. It's really hurtful. And then one day, a teenage girl shows up in his court, and his luck was about to change. Luckily, these days, it's easier to find meaningful work without having to liberate an entire country from foreign occupation. 80,000 hours is the average length of your career, and 80,000 hours is a nonprofit that aims to help your career make a positive impact. They've done research alongside Oxford academics and discovered that most common advice, like looking for work that pays well and isn't too stressful, doesn't strictly correlate to future happiness as much as work that's fulfilling and impactful in itself. And you don't have to become a doctor, teacher, or a charity worker to do a lot of good in the world. They consider every angle from which you can make a meaningful difference in solving the world's problems. They cite, for example, the Soviet colonel in the 80s who saved at least 1 billion lives by not launching a retaliatory strike against the US in response to a false alarm. Everything 80,000 Hours provides is free. Their research is on their website, so is their guide to finding a high-impact career that's right for you. They've got a job board. They even offer one-on-one calls with their advising team, completely for free. Their only aim is to help you find a fulfilling, high-impact career. Go to 80000hours.org/Jack Rackham to learn more. Thanks to 80,000 Hours for making this show possible.
Hurrah!
Robert, who is this kid? A peasant, your majesty. She talks to angels. Robert, my father sewed iron rods into his clothes because he thought he was made of glass and would shatter if I gave him a hug. If you think this will amuse me, you need to try harder. I did not believe her either, your majesty. But then she predicted you were going to lose a battle. And you did! Robert, you did! Robert, how many battles have we lost already? Listen for yourself, and you will hear her words are divinely inspired.
I was just a fanatical Christian girl in a fanatical Christian world.
Robert, I have got so many meetings today. Don't you dare flash back.
And then one day... Jesus!
Close! I am l'Archangel Michel. Jesus could not make it.
Am I blind?
No, my child. For the first time, you can truly see. I come with an important message from Merlin. Or God. Either way, really. Alors, what's important is that everything you already believe is true, and everything you want is good.
Hells yeah!
God needs you to drive the English from France, and make sure when you do that Charles VII is king. Okay, it's really important that Charles VII gets to have his coronation in the big fancy cathedral in Rheims. Okay, this town is occupied by the English, you got that? Alright, au revoir!
Oh. And so, yeah.
Oh, are we done? Oh, please, Your Majesty. We have to let her join the army. She's going to win the war. You do seem to be in unusually high spirits. Uh-huh. That could be useful. If she's lucid enough to sign her name, we can send her in as a cheerleader until she gets shot in the face. King Charles would take whatever help he could get. The English army was laying siege to the city of Orleans, and if that city fell, the rest of France was likely to follow. King Charles was genuinely this close to abandoning France and hiding in exile, because despite having the numerically superior army at Orleans, as well as a fortified position and a home field advantage, the French were somehow losing. The English army then gets a very peculiar letter that reads, "Ha ha ha! Surrender now, English pig dogs, and I might let you live. Signed, Teenage Peasant Girl." Next thing they know, at one of the most important sieges in the war, there's this girl riding up and down the lines of the French army, giving heart to the soldiers with cries of,
You got this, guys, because God is on our side.
"Oh my gosh, God? I love God. He's the best. Let's do it for God, you guys." This may be an uncharitable interpretation, but Joan of Arc was kind of a mascot. Like, she wasn't given any real power, and that might have been for the best. Despite being a huge asset for the French, she had the potential to be a serious liability because Joan had her own ideas about how to lead a war.
Attack!
Joan, we are reinforcements. We don't do that on our own. Okay, what are we here to do?
To expel the English in the name of God!
All right. Our target is the Bastille de Saint-Laurent. Tomorrow we will make our attack.
Yeah! Vive la France!
Joan? Joan! Joan! Okay, no. Shh. Okay, go. CHARGE.
Charge?
Our intelligence suggests if we focus our efforts on the south bank.
Oh, nom de Dieu!
God wants us to rest today! But one way or another, the French army roared to life, the English retreated, the whole course of the war was reversed. Just like in Joan's vision, the Dauphin was crowned king in the big fancy cathedral. Real, honest-to-goodness Charles VII, King of France. At this point, King Charles had a string of lucky victories. He was happy to make a deal with the English, call the whole thing off. But certain voices in the court felt like the job wasn't done until England was driven off the continent once and for all.
And then we kick them out of Paris, and we kick them out of Calais, and we kick them out of Normandy, and we kick their English butts!
Joan was starting to become a problem for King Charles. The momentum the army had picked up in Orleans had eventually slowed down after a failed attempt to recapture Paris, and while the king hadn't yet made peace with England, he had signed a truce with Burgundy. Joan would appear not to have gotten the memo. All right, we don't have to worry about Burgundy for the time being. Let's wait for that report to come in and reevaluate if we need to lay siege. What's wrong? It's quiet. Where is Joan? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. What happened? She broke the truce with Burgundy. She was out of my sight for 2 minutes. Did she win? No, no. They captured her. This is terrible. It's all my fault. Oh no, they captured Joan. The Burgundians sold Joan to the English, and she was put on trial for 2 crimes. Number 1, she listened to voices from God's messengers, which is heresy, especially when God turns out to be French. And number 2, she was a cross-dresser, which is one of those Bible laws from the book of Deuteronomy that only seem to exist as a gotcha when you feel like persecuting someone anyway. The English found her guilty and burned her at the stake. King Charles made no attempt to rescue her.